Welcome to the Valseth View.
Good morning and welcome back to the Valseth View. Today our topic is going to be the super worker AI shift. So we're looking at how do you leverage AI in your government contracting needs. So you're trying to figure out what kinds of things can I do to win? What is AI in this particular realm? And how do I get up and going with all of that process. So we're going to take a little bit of a dive into what is AI and how it works in government contracting. My name is Carolyn Dragseth. I'm an attorney. Here with Valerie Clark. She is a compliance expert, and together we form the Valseth Enterprises, which is legal and compliance operations. If you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to reach out to our website. It's www.valsethenterprises.com. And that's where you can connect with us and we can continue to give you great tips. So with that, we'll get started, Valerie.
Sounds great. Okay, question one for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
I feel like we're in Jeopardy.
Okay.
So in 2026, the term super worker is a relatively new term, but what does it mean, particularly for a small business?
Okay. For a small business, when you look at super worker, it's not technically intended to replace a human. What it's really looking to do is it's looking to give you some kind of a digital assistant. And basically, you're looking for those small, repetitive, administrative tasks that it just basically absorbs someone's time to actually do it. And what we're looking for is a task that we can then, instead of using a human to complete it, we've got the AI that can actually maximize our time. You're still going to need some kind of human in the mix type of thing, but you can go through and automate things like that. Some examples are data entry, scheduling, responses when people have sent you an email to let them know that you've received it, all of those kind of small little things that make a difference to your clients, but take up a lot of time on your back end side. So we want to make sure that we're automating those. We also, like I said, want to make sure that there's some kind of human in the mix because you just never know. Sometimes the AI can make mistakes. So you want someone there that's kind of supervising the process, taking a look at what they're doing and making sure that they're actually answering your customers' questions, or especially if they're talking to some kind of a contract manager in the government contracting realm, that you're making sure that you're providing them with a full answer.
So one of the biggest bottlenecks, I know we have both experienced it in the GovCon arena, is the 100-page request for proposal. How does AI change the shredding process of that, and also define what the shredding process is?
Okay. So first of all, I know many of you are familiar with the fact that when you used to, in the olden days, look at an RFP, you had to go through and search, where did it say shall, where did it say may, where did it say can, where did it say can't? And basically the AI is going to be able to read the entire RFP. And then based on reading that, they can automatically extract those shall and must things that need to be done from sections L and M of your RFP response. And they can build you a accurate compliance matrix. So what we're doing in this instance is we're giving to the AI our actual RFP and we're saying to it, how can you let me know as the individual who is responding or the company that is responding, how I make sure that I've kind of captured and addressed all of the different things that are within that compliance matrix. So for a human, it used to take us quite a bit of time. It was very time consuming. Whereas for the AI, they're going to do that initial pass and they're going to pull all of that data out of the actual RFP for you. So it's kind of giving you an opportunity to sit back, let it do the reading and let it pull out what those mandatory instances of your response actually really are. So humans might miss some of that. And it's happened to a lot of people when they've completed a response. Sometimes you get contracting officers that are pretty, how shall I say, relaxed, that will reach out to you and say, hey, I see that your response generally addressed this particular topic, but did you know that you have to include this in your response? Things like that can happen. But I think that it's very important that if we utilize the AI to kind of shred apart the RFP and tell us what we have to actually be answering, it's a great benefit to you and to your company.
I know one of the things we've discussed recently about that is when you're writing an RFP for submission, there are times that you really get so intent on the writing process and the reading and research process. And then whenever someone interrupts you, it's so hard to go back and pick your place up.
That's true.
And so I think that this would be a really good way to counterbalance that.
Well, yeah, because I think it gives you that outline to work from. So what you're looking at is a little bit different. You're looking at the different points that you have to kind of tick off within your response. So even if you do have to get up, go somewhere else, and then come back to it, you'll know where you left off in the process.
Along that same lines, how can a contractor use AI to write a better technical proposal without starting from scratch every time?
Okay. If you're using proprietary AI, so that's the private instance of AI, you can let it view your corporate data. So instead of you as the human having to go back and look at all of the information that you've stored on your particular workspace, if you work with Google or your Copilot space, whichever one you utilize, you have a workspace there. And instead of having the human have to go back and read through all of it, what it does is it allows the AI to search for different documents within your corporate repository or your corporate memory to be able to perform and give you an adequate response to everything that needs to be done. I think that it helps to tailor what you're trying to answer, and it helps to make sure that everything that you have that is what I would call a unique identifier of your particular business is going to be included within that response based on using AI to help you kind of delve through your corporate memory and give you a great response.
So, what is the specific clause that everybody is talking about in 2026? And what is it? And what does it require?
Okay, so when we're talking a little bit about compliance standards, there is a regulation. It's GSA R552.239-7001. And basically, it's a requirement that requires contractors to disclose whether or not they're utilizing AI in what they're doing. So it's really important that you certify that you're using American AI systems. The goal is to keep our data, our information, our intellectual property, everything else safeguarded here within the United States. So you're looking for an instance that will protect your data and will allow you to do these steps like we talked about of the shredding and using the corporate memory without exposing all of that intellectual knowledge to other third parties.
And along those same lines, if I use a tool like ChatGPT for a government bid, am I putting our proprietary data at risk?
Well, I think it's really, really important when you're talking about using some kind of AI that you are not, I repeat, you are not using a public instance. Using a public instance of AI basically gives that company access to everything that you've kind of plugged into that AI. So I know you've seen a lot of case law recently. We've talked about it on multiple occasions with what clients are doing, where we're trying to ensure that they keep their data safe. So what that means is you're not allowing any of these companies to learn off of what you're doing. So you want to keep your data within a private instance. You want to kind of what I would call corral your data into a space where you're not then losing any of the proprietary information that you have contained within your data. So I think it's really, really important. I think that when you talk about the kind of standards that surround data in FedRAMP and in all of the other federal regulations that surround data privacy, it's really important that you use those kinds of environments to make sure that you're not allowing escape.
So I would think that from a business standpoint, it would be better to use only one or two open AIs, which are private, as opposed to five or six, so things don't get lost or people don't get confused about which one's supposed to be doing what. What do you think?
I agree. And I think that one of the important things that you should consider when you're trying to keep it between one or two instances is the fact that as a business, you're training it to become an expert on what you do. So it's going to learn your differentiators. It's going to learn what is important for it to understand and how it's going to craft those RFP responses for you.
So can AI be used to find federal contracts through SAM before they're posted?
Yes, I think that AI has something that they call the agentic market intelligence. That's the official name for it. But basically what they're saying is that it's postured to assist you to find certain things. So let's say, for example, your AI is aware that you're looking for a response for or to respond to things that are a particular NIAX code. It can look for those for you. It can kind of look through the horizon and see if there's been any chatter via email or via social media from that particular agency and help you to early identify a lot of those leads. So I think it's kind of giving you a head start if it can do things like that for you, because then you can reach out to the contracting officer in advance, explain to the contracting officer, what kind of capabilities you have so that when you do actually put in your response, you've kind of established that initial relationship with that contracting officer and you've let them know that you're ready and able to participate in that particular response.
When is the AI's job completed for a particular RFP that you win? Is it whenever you send in the submission?
Well, no, I think that there are lots of things that AI can do for you on the back end. So it can work directly on what we work on, which is compliance. I think that you can train your AI to kind of look at everything, make sure that all of your systems are ready and prepared to do what they need to do to respond to that. So you can allow your AI to do a compliance overview for you of how am I actually performing once I've actually won the bid.
I know we've talked a couple of different times about the use of a calendar that AI generates, and then it also goes to for just kind of a where are we at type of look.
Mhm.
And then along with that, they can review what the requirement is and let us know, hey, you're doing a great job on A, B, and C, but on D, just check up on this, make sure it's as tight as it needs to be.
Mhm.
So that's a plus to me for using AI. So you've talked a little bit about that there has to be a human interaction with this AI conversation that is held between the company and the particular OpenAI private instance that they're using. Tell me more about that. What does that look like?
Okay. What you really need to do is you need to have a human in the mix to kind of review and make sure that the AI is actually responding to what it's supposed to respond to. AI is great, but it has its limits. And I think that you should always consider what the AI produces as an initial draft. So I think that a good practice tip for government contractors is if you do pull a solicitation response out and you're not sure who's supposed to review it, how is it going to go through the process, who's your red team to be the last final reviewers. So you need to make sure that you have all of that identified by putting draft or AI draft on the document so that you're aware that that human needs to do a little bit more to make sure that they're advising it. Also, I think it's really important to remember that we need to let our contracting officer know that we are using AI. So it's not something that you can do and then say, oh, I used AI and I don't really need to let them know. You actually do need to let them know. And the artifact that we're giving away, if you come to our website and sign up, is the actual letter that you need to send to the contracting officer to notify them of your use of AI. So I think it's important that everybody remembers that AI is a great tool, but there are multiple things that you need to think about. The first one that you need to think about is making sure that your AI has a human in the loop. So that's very, very important. Make sure that you identify who on your team is going to be that first overview look of what the AI actually generates. Because sometimes if you have people who are good at prompts, then it's very easy for you to get to the right place. But if you have people that are learning about prompts, or if you're the business owner yourself and you're learning about what are the proper prompts that I need to ask to make sure that the AI is producing something, I think that that's super important. So I think that you need to be able to go through multiple iterations of what the AI proposes, how it actually responds, making sure that it looks through your corporate memory completely and that it does everything that it needs to do. And then the second part is what we've kind of tried to touch on here today, which is there's a compliance factor, especially in government contracting, where you need to let people know, hey, I used AI to produce this document. And so therefore, I'm not only utilizing it and requiring a human in the mix, but I'm also on the second point, I'm making sure that I notify whoever I'm sending it to that this is something that was generated by AI. Now, I know that this is a topic when we talk about compliance and use of AI that a lot of people have seen pitfalls in. One example that I've seen is that lots of attorneys have tried to do briefs, and AI sometimes can hallucinate because if it can't answer, it's going to assume that it can find it somewhere and it will create an answer for you. That's what we're trying to avoid when we're talking about use of AI in government contracting as well. We don't want the AI to hallucinate anything that your company can do. We don't want the AI to say something or to put forth something that could possibly be a stretch of what your company can actually really do. I don't know if you thought of anything else, Valerie, that you want to add to that as like a red light at the end of it. I'm using AI, but this is something that you need to think about.
I think this is a really good prime example of where you don't want to have just someone writing the RFP by themselves, nor do you just want someone in compliance to review the document during the process and afterwards by themselves. It needs to be done together. And by doing it that way, you're each coming from it from a different standpoint, from the writing perspective, from the what can I do as a company perspective, how am I going to do this? And then from the compliance standpoint of, I agree, this is what we can do from a business perspective. And I halfway agree with this is what we can do to achieve it. So that's where you really can work together to make sure that the document is a complete, fully faceted document that you need to submit for the RFP.
Okay. And I brought with me, so you guys are going to have to bear with me as I flip through this, but I brought with me some prompts that I think are really interesting. And I think that there's something that you can use when you're working with AI. So the first one was, I know you guys probably remember, we talked about the shredder instance where we're using AI to take apart the RFP. And this is an example of how you can prompt your AI to help you. You can say, as a lead proposal manager, I am uploading section L and section M of the solicitation X. Extract all the mandatory shall and must requirements into a table. Each requirement suggests a win theme based on our company's past performance and then you can kind of give it a way to look for it in this particular specific niche. So I think that that's interesting as far as how you can get something to be shredded by your AI.
And I know you mentioned earlier that it is important to make sure that you meet the shall requirements and the will requirements. And I just want to reiterate that that's true. You understand that a shall must be done and a will can be done. And so you just want to be sure that you promise the right things.
Yep. And then the second one is the corporate memory prompt. So basically in this one, we say, using our attached past performance document for Project X, draft a 500-word response for the technical approach section of this RFP. Ensure the tone is professional and addresses the agency's specific pain point regarding, and then you put whatever they're looking to, the problem they're looking to solve. And then it says use action, context, results, framework. So that's a good way to have the AI kind of go through all of your corporate processes and pull out the things that are important. And so then I think that that's really important to have that for how to help you pull out those corporate memory things that you think are important. And then finally, when we're talking post actual win, and we hope that a lot of you win based on what we've provided for you today, you can have them be your compliance auditor. So here's a prompt for if you're utilizing AI as a compliance auditor. It says, compare my draft of the management plan against the evaluation criteria in section M on a scale of 1 to 10. How well does this draft meet the exceptional rating requirement? Identify any missing hidden requirements from the RFP that I haven't addressed yet. And I think that goes to your point, Valerie, of the need to have the human in the compliance portion kind of work through that with you.
I agree. Because again, the two people are coming at it from different perspectives and they may read things differently. So the more eyes, the better, which may be contradictory when you're talking about using AI, but it's really not.
Okay, so with that, we're wrapping up this episode of the Valseth View. We appreciate all of you coming. Remember, AI is an important tool to use, but also use the human in the loop. If you don't have a human that you can use, please feel free to reach out to us. We would be more than happy to assist you with this. Again, our website is www.valsethenterprises.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.